Hello, and welcome to No Longer a People Pleaser. My name is Tina Rose, if this is your first time here, and I have been summoned to change the trajectory of your life by sharing mine. I share vulnerably, in tears, the raw truth, the way I remember it, and how it made me feel, and what I had to do to heal. All of it. Still working on it, but I've come a long way, and I found that when I do really just dig deep and show my raw feelings and emotions and speak them, that it does help people. Because as a society, a world society, we have been trained to not feel our emotions, generally speaking. Not feel our emotions. It's not okay to cry in public. It's not okay to say what you really feel because people can't take the truth. And this has been my experience. And I see how me showing that I'm okay to cry in public. If it hurts, I cry. If it's ready to come up and out, I let it come up and out because it's so important for healing. That's what the healing process is, for us to acknowledge that we're feeling something, even if we don't understand it. Sometimes we don't. But for us to acknowledge that we're feeling something and to say, I have a right to feel this way, and to let it move up and out. Energy, that's what's moving, is the energy of emotions. Energy and motion. That's what I was trying to get out. So, what I have compiled today is a short list of situations that would put us in our people pleasing pattern very quickly, things that we're used to. I didn't write them out this time, I didn't take the time. And you notice if you're a routine part of this community that I'm trying something else different today, a background image, because I feel like I would record more content if I could just do it from my recliner. I love my recliner. I can sit and relax comfortably in my recliner. It's where I have everything that I need set up, and I have my picture window right in front of me, and it's all trees and blue sky. And I love just sitting here in my recliner. And if I could record videos from my recliner like I'm trying now, I feel like I'd get them done more frequently, and really, because I think of a lot of ideas. I even prepare content in my recliner, but I never make it over to the table where my laptop is to do the recording. So I'm trying this out. And what I have compiled for you today is a list of situations where we are often catapulted into people pleasing, because it's what we're used to doing, it's how we're used to responding. And I want to give you some easy, quick ways to remember to respond a different way, respond a new way, and not from the old pattern. And every time you do this, every time you even attempt to try and respond a new way, then it strengthens that new way muscle. So it's not a failure. Just remember, it's never a failure. Any intention to heal, when you try to make the step, even if it doesn't sound concise or make sense, or if your voice is shaking, or you can't speak, you freeze up, your voice freezes like mine used to do a lot. I had what I dubbed selective mutism. I would be so afraid someone would be talking to me, even if it wasn't in an aggressive environment or an aggressive situation. They would just be saying something um, like for example, I met um, a guy who at the time was going to turn out to be a big part of my life. And the first time I met him, he was very like open, and he joked a lot. He was witty. He was witty, and he would just say things for fun and being light. And it was never, talking down to me or anything. But I did feel the interest that he had in me on that very first acquaintance that I first met him. But I was so terrified of people in general, literally. I was terrified of people because of my upbringing, that even when he was saying these things, kind of like flirty for fun and being witty, I would not be able to respond. I would just freeze up because I wouldn't know what to say. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing. And that's where I was a large majority of my life, with people that I knew or that I didn't know. I didn't know what to say. I was never sure what to say unless it was people pleasing, unless it was over the top, being nice, which is toxic. And I want to clarify that being nice is different from being kind. We should always be kind. Jesus talks about that. Jesus teaches that. There's a kind way to say everything that we need to say. My laptop is shaking because I have it sitting on a little stool in my lap trying to get everything right. But so I've come up with these situations where we often fall into people pleasing. So let's go ahead and just drop right into it. So overall, the core rule when you're not able to anticipate that you're going into a specific situation that's going to trigger you into people pleasing, the core rule, without having any scripts or anything like that, is if you feel like you need to explain a lot, if you feel a need to soften excessively, or if you feel a need where you need to manage somebody's reaction, that means you're drifting out of your center. Just overall to know, if you feel that sensation, that fear come up, and that you're worried about what you need to say or want to say or how you're going to respond, just know, automatically be aware that that is your sign that I am drifting out of my center. I need to be aware, breathe, focus on my breath, and come back to a short, clear, kind, and you're done. Whatever that means, that's your overall general approach. So now we're going to get into the specifics. What about the situation when someone asks too much of you? Your old pattern might be, of course, yes, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I'll do it that way. Okay. Um, it might be, yeah, I can do that. I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out. And your answer is, okay, I'll do whatever you need me to do, basically. But instead, in this situation, when someone asks too much of you, you want to learn a new way of saying what you're feeling instead of just falling into the yes mode. You can say, I'm not able to take that on right now. That doesn't work for me. I don't have the energy for that right now. Anything related to that would be perfect, whatever you want to say. And if they push, just remember, if they push, that is that is like steamrolling, right? They're not respecting you if they push. Remember that first, right off the bat. But if you feel like you have to say something, you can say it one time. I hear you, but my answer is still no, I can't do it. No extra justification. Let that be enough. Okay, second situation, when someone is disappointed in you, and this was a big one for me because that was one of my biggest fears that I was going to disappoint somebody. I would over apologize. I would try to fix their disappointment, and I would over explain. And remember, none of those are necessary. Here is a new way of responding. I understand you're disappointed. I get that this isn't what you wanted. So you see what you're doing here when you say those two things? You're validating their feelings, but you're not giving in to the people pleasing. I'm still choosing what's right for me. And you don't override your own boundary. That is, for the people pleaser situation, that's a big one for us too. Not to cave in. And I look like I have an angel wing on that side. That is the back of my chair, my recliner. That's why I never use these filters. And here it looks like my ear. I don't have any ears. That's okay. I look more like an Arcturian. That's what I was thinking. But anyway, I get sidetracked. The third situation where you might be triggered to people please is when you feel pressured to explain yourself. The old pattern is over explaining with long explanations to make sure you understood and you're not hurting somebody's feelings. But the new response can be, I don't have any more to add to that. I've shared what I'm comfortable sharing. That's just where I'm at with it right now. And if they keep digging, it could be disrespectful. So just notice how you feel in your body about that. Or you could say, if it feels right, I'm not going to go deeper into that. And you say it one time. That's an important part. Say it one time. Clarity without defensiveness. All right. The fourth situation where we might be triggered to people please is when someone crosses a boundary. And your new way of responding can be sound something like, hey, I'm not okay with that. Don't speak to me that way. I need you to stop. And I do have examples here, real life examples. When I was in an initiation, I like to call it, it was a 3.5 year job working at a great company. And the two people that I worked with were there specifically for me to learn how to use my voice and stand in my boundaries. And this one person, the first time that he crossed a boundary, it was the way he was talking to me. And I had recently watched a movie. It was Mrs. Potter, I believe was the name of it. I love that movie. It was an old movie, but I had never seen it or heard of it. It was about a woman that wrote children's books, and I can't remember the name. It was about a rabbit. I don't think it was a Velveteen Rabbit. Maybe it was, but anyway, it was a real person, and her personality was so assertive. And when I watched that movie, it's like my guides zoom me in on watching that movie because I don't watch many movies. I'm very selective. If I feel guided, like my spirit guides are putting it in my path and dropping it in my lap for me to watch, I will. I know there's a reason. And in this particular movie, this woman, the main character, was very assertive. And there was a scene where a man with a professional position. He, whatever the reason was, he didn't like that she was doing something or that she was talking a certain way, and he was trying to put her in her place and talking down to her. And she said, "Sir, I am not accustomed to being talked to that way. I am not accustomed to being spoken to that way." I think that's what she said. And I remembered that line from that movie when this person that I worked with started talking to me the way he was talking to me and crossed my boundary. And I remember, and it felt so good because I had done enough healing where I was confident in myself. And he did that, and I just waited. He stopped talking for a moment after and he was still upset. He was worried about his own reputation, kind of thing, being embarrassed in front of someone else. And so he said what he said had to say that was rude and disrespectful to me. And I just breathed and let a silence follow. And then I said that line. I said, "I'm not accustomed to being spoken to that way." And I just saw and I said it without defensiveness. I said it in kindness, but I was firm and I meant it. I was in my confidence, and everything just kind of laid right down. It was like a piece that back of that chair. I need to stop moving my arms. If you cut my arms off, I wouldn't be able to talk, or cut my hands off. All right. So anyway, I try to throw in those personal stories because it's real life situations. Things happen to us every day in our daily routine where we need these tools right at our fingertips in any given moment. So, excuse me, that was example number 4 when someone crosses a boundary. And like this says here, I stayed calm, direct, and no emotional escalation, and it worked perfectly. Not to say that it's going to work for every person in every situation, but I've seen it work in many when I was direct and confident and calm and in love. Jesus says that everything is one of two things: an extension of love or a call for love. And that's from A Course in Miracles. And that stands true. Ever since I learned that teaching from Jesus, it stands true in every single situation I've ever had to go through since. Situation number 5 of when we might be triggered. When someone tries to guilt you, the old pattern would be for us to give in to take that guilt off of ourselves. And instead, you can start out by saying, "I understand this is important to you, and I'm still not able to do that." And if they push, which they're being disrespectful if they push, in my opinion, in most cases, if they push and you want to say one more thing, "I'm not changing my decision," and stop. That's the important part, is to not over explain. Say it short, concise, kind, and be done. Okay, and guilt loses power when you don't negotiate with it. That's a strong, powerful line right there. Number 6, the 6th situation where you might feel like people pleasing. When you're afraid of being seen as selfish. And this is when you just go within, focus on your breath, and then you can say, "I'm taking care of myself here. This is what I need to do right now." No apology attached. It's all about self-respect. Let that sink in. It's all about self respect. We don't need to explain ourselves to anyone. Most of the time, no is a full sentence when you don't want to do something. You don't have to have a valid reason for them to understand. The seventh situation, when you need time instead of an automatic yes. So you're on the fence. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Your response can be, let me think about that and get back to you. I'm not ready to answer yet. This interrupts the reflex to please other people or please the other person. And that is what I have for you today. In a way, is feeling to me a little bit cheesy, but maybe it'll help somebody. And I do myself, I enjoy the content or the videos that I record where I do have a personal share somewhere in the content. And because I feel like it would help me too. If I was on the other side of the video, which I do watch my own videos, and a lot of times there is an energy coming from, I'll say, from my vessel through the video that I benefit from. And so I feel like other people benefit from the energy that's coming through as well, even when I don't do an energy transmission. And I know it's been a while since I've done an energy transmission, but everything is always changing and moving. And it's like we become new every moment. And when I had that most recent private readings, probably about 2 months ago now, and it was the part that was getting a lot of my attention. There was a lot of pieces in there that I've been working on for 2 months, but a big part of it was me having always taken on the caretaker role. And that's a part of why I'm not doing any energy transmissions for a while. I'm letting that settle in and really seeing how I feel about that. Um, yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much now. Maybe at some point I will understand it better myself to be able to share. But right now, I wanted just to point out that I am aware that I haven't done any energy transmissions per se at the end of my content, and it's on purpose. But like I mentioned just before, there is an energy still being transmitted because I am open to my guides and my higher self. I've activated the tree of life within me. I emerge with my higher self. And even I, have moments where I question that. I'm like, well, if I were merged with my higher self, it seems like my speech would be much more flowing and elegant than it is. But this is what I am told. This is very much, I'm getting specifically from my spirit guides that is the case. And that's just it. I think like a lot of people, I used to think that when I do merge with my higher self, I'm going to say everything perfectly. I'm going to do everything perfectly, make all the right choices, know all the things right out the gate, different from the way I used to be. And I just don't think that's necessarily always the case. And so I keep rolling with it. I feel that the more I do this, the more practice I get, the better I get at it, and just the better it will flow. So I'm not sure. I wasn't planning on saying all that. Maybe that's part of the message today. But from me, my higher self, and all my guides, we see you, we love you, we trust you, appreciate you, and we honor you. Blessed be.